Sometimes a person begins to notice something unusual inside their heart. Life continues around them as it always has. People chasing the same goals, speaking about the same things, moving through the same routines. Yet deep within, there is a quiet feeling that something about this world does not fully belong to them. The wisdom often associated with the great Sufi master Ibn Arabi teaches that the soul is not merely a part of this world. The soul comes from a deeper origin, from a reality closer to Allah than anything we see around us. Because of this, some hearts begin to sense that the world alone cannot satisfy what they truly seek. When this awareness appears, a person may start feeling like a stranger among familiar places. The things that once seemed important slowly lose their attraction. Conversations that once felt normal begin to feel empty, and the heart quietly starts searching for something more real and lasting. This feeling is not always loneliness. Sometimes it is the beginning of understanding that the soul remembers something the mind has forgotten, that its journey did not begin here, and its true destination is far beyond what this world can offer. 1. When the heart stops feeling at home in the world. There comes a quiet moment in some people's lives when the heart begins to feel unfamiliar with the world around it. Everything outside may appear normal. Cities remain busy, conversations continue, and people pursue their ambitions with determination. Yet within the heart there grows a subtle feeling that something about this environment no longer feels like home. It is not always sadness, and it is not always dissatisfaction. Instead, it is a quiet awareness that the world does not fully satisfy the deeper longings of the soul. This feeling can appear gradually. A person may continue living their usual routine, meeting friends, working, and participating in everyday activities. But the excitement that once surrounded these experiences begins to fade. Situations that once felt meaningful may now feel temporary or incomplete. The heart begins sensing that there is something deeper beyond what is visible in daily life. Many people initially find this change confusing. The mind wonders why the same environment that once felt comfortable now feels distant. Familiar places may suddenly feel less connected to the inner world of the soul. It can seem as though life continues moving around you, yet your heart is observing it from a different perspective. In the wisdom often connected to the teachings of the Sufi tradition, this experience is sometimes described as the soul becoming aware of its deeper origin. According to this understanding, the human soul is not entirely defined by the material world. It carries within it a memory of a greater reality, a closeness to Allah that existed before life in this world began. When this awareness begins to awaken, the heart naturally becomes less attached to the things that once seemed central to life. The constant pursuit of status, competition, or temporary pleasures begins to feel less fulfilling. The soul starts searching for sincerity, meaning, and connection rather than simply following the patterns of the crowd. This change does not mean a person rejects the world entirely. Responsibilities continue, relationships remain important, and daily life still unfolds as usual. Yet the heart begins to interact with the world differently. Instead of seeing it as a permanent home, the soul begins recognizing it as a place of experience and growth. This realization brings a quiet form of clarity. The heart understands that the world cannot satisfy every longing because it was never meant to be the soul's final destination. The deeper yearning within the heart is not a mistake. It is a reminder that the soul carries within it a connection to something far greater than the temporary nature of worldly life. When the heart stops feeling fully at home in the world, it may feel like distance at first. But within that distance lies a deeper awareness, the understanding that the soul's true sense of belonging reaches far beyond what the eyes can see. 2. When ordinary conversations start feeling empty. Another quiet change begins to appear when the heart starts feeling different during everyday conversations. Words are still exchanged, discussions continue, and social interactions remain part of daily life. Yet something inside the heart begins noticing that many of these conversations no longer feel meaningful in the same way. Topics that once seemed normal begin to feel repetitive or shallow. While others may speak with excitement, the soul may quietly feel that something important is missing beneath the surface. This experience does not come from arrogance or a sense of superiority. It is not about believing that others are wrong or that their interests lack value. Instead, it reflects a deeper shift taking place within the heart. As awareness grows, the soul begins searching for sincerity, reflection, and conversations that carry a deeper sense of truth. When discussions revolve only around temporary concerns or endless distractions, the heart may feel a quiet emptiness. Many conversations in the world revolve around comparison, competition, or the pursuit of recognition. People speak about achievements, possessions, or the success of others. These topics may fill long hours of dialogue, yet they rarely touch the deeper questions that the soul begins to ask. As a result, a person may find themselves listening quietly, participating politely, but feeling disconnected from the deeper meaning of the discussion. The heart begins noticing how easily words can fill space without truly nourishing the soul. Endless talk may occur without any reflection on purpose, faith, or the deeper direction of life. When the inner awareness of a person grows stronger, these patterns become easier to recognize. What once felt like normal conversation may begin to feel like noise that does not satisfy the heart. During this time, a person may start longing for different kinds of dialogue. Conversations about sincerity, wisdom, and the meaning of life begin to feel more valuable. Even simple words that carry honesty and reflection may feel more fulfilling than long discussions filled with empty excitement. The heart begins appreciating quality over quantity when it comes to communication. This shift can sometimes make a person feel separate from the social environment around them. While others remain comfortable with ordinary topics, the soul quietly seeks deeper understanding. Yet this difference is not meant to create distance from others with judgment. Instead, it reflects the natural transformation of a heart that is becoming more aware. A person learns to navigate these moments with patience. They continue interacting with kindness and respect, understanding that every person walks their own journey of awareness. At the same time, the heart becomes more attentive to moments of conversation that carry sincerity and truth. When ordinary conversations begin to feel empty, it often means the soul has started searching for something deeper than words alone. The heart begins seeking meaning that goes beyond daily talk, quietly moving toward a form of understanding that nourishes the inner self rather than simply filling the silence. 3. When solitude feels more honest than crowds. A person may begin noticing that time spent alone feels more genuine than time spent within large groups of people. Crowds continue to gather, conversations continue to flow, and social environments remain active as they always have. Yet the heart quietly senses that being surrounded by many voices does not always bring clarity or peace. Instead, it may create a feeling of distance within the soul. This change often appears gradually. A person may still participate in social settings, yet they begin to notice how exhausting constant interaction can become. Many discussions feel repetitive, and the pressure to respond to every opinion or expectation can slowly drain the energy of the heart. The soul begins longing for moments where it can exist without performing or adapting itself to the atmosphere of the crowd. Solitude begins offering something different. When the noise of many voices fades away, the mind becomes calmer. Thoughts move more slowly, and the heart begins noticing things that were once hidden beneath constant activity. In these quiet spaces, a person no longer needs to match the rhythm of others. Instead, the soul can simply observe life without distraction. Solitude also feels more honest. Within a crowd, it is common for individuals to adjust their words, opinions, and behavior in order to fit the expectations around them. While this is a natural part of social life, it can sometimes create a sense that the true self remains hidden behind layers of performance. In solitude, those layers begin to fall away. When a person is alone, there is no pressure to impress anyone. There is no need to shape every thought according to the reactions of others. The heart becomes free to reflect sincerely. Questions about life, purpose, and faith can arise without interruption. In this environment, the soul begins to recognize its own voice more clearly. The wisdom often associated with the spiritual path values these quiet moments deeply. Solitude creates the space where awareness grows. Without the constant noise of external influence, the heart becomes more attentive to its own condition. A person begins noticing what brings peace and what creates restlessness within their inner world. This experience does not mean rejecting the presence of others. Human connection remains valuable and meaningful, but the soul begins understanding that crowds cannot always provide the clarity it seeks. Sometimes, understanding grows best in the quiet spaces where reflection becomes possible. Solitude stops feeling like isolation. Instead, it becomes a place of restoration for the heart. A person begins appreciating these quiet moments as opportunities to reconnect with sincerity and awareness. The mind becomes calmer, and the soul feels less overwhelmed by the expectations of the world. When solitude feels more honest than crowds, it may simply mean the heart is learning to listen more carefully to its own deeper voice. In the silence of these moments, the soul begins discovering truths that are often difficult to hear amid the constant noise of the world. 4. When the soul starts remembering something deeper, sometimes a quiet awareness begins to grow inside the heart that cannot easily be explained. Life continues with its familiar rhythm, yet the soul begins sensing that there is something beyond the visible world. This awareness does not always arrive with clear answers. Instead, it feels like a subtle memory, as if the heart recognizes a truth that the mind cannot fully describe. Ordinary experiences may begin to carry a different meaning. A simple moment of reflection, a quiet prayer, or a sudden feeling of peace can create the impression that the soul is reconnecting with something ancient and familiar. The heart feels drawn toward a deeper understanding of existence. The teachings often associated with the Sufi tradition speak about the soul as something that did not originate in this temporary world. According to this wisdom, the soul carries within it a connection to a greater reality that existed long before earthly life began. Because of this origin, the soul may sometimes feel a gentle longing for something beyond what the physical world can provide. This awareness can appear during quiet moments when the mind is no longer distracted by constant activity. When the heart becomes calm, it begins noticing feelings that were once hidden beneath the noise of everyday life. A person may sense a deeper presence guiding their thoughts and reflections. As this awareness grows, certain experiences begin feeling more meaningful than before. Moments of sincerity, kindness, or spiritual reflection carry a deeper impact on the heart. The soul becomes more sensitive to actions that nurture peace and more distant from things that feel empty or temporary. A person may feel a subtle longing that cannot easily be satisfied by ordinary achievements. Success, recognition, and material comfort may still have value, yet they no longer fulfill the deeper questions that begin forming within the heart. This longing does not come from dissatisfaction alone. It often reflects the soul recognizing that its purpose extends beyond the immediate world. The heart begins searching for connection, truth, and closeness to the Creator in ways that go deeper than surface experiences. Many people describe this awareness as a quiet reminder rather than a dramatic realization. It does not force itself upon the mind. Instead, it gently invites reflection. The soul begins remembering that life carries a meaning far greater than daily routines and temporary concerns. With time, this awareness can bring humility and gratitude. The heart begins recognizing that every moment of life carries an opportunity to move closer to understanding and sincerity. Small actions begin to feel important because they shape the journey of the soul. This remembrance also changes how a person views the world. Instead of seeing life as random or meaningless, the soul begins recognizing signs of wisdom within the unfolding of events. Even difficulties can begin to reveal lessons that guide personal growth. As the heart becomes more attentive to these deeper feelings, the connection between the soul and its creator becomes more meaningful. Reflection, prayer, and gratitude begin to feel less like obligations and more like natural expressions of the inner self. And sometimes within this quiet awareness, the soul gently realizes it has always carried a memory of something greater. 5. When detachment begins, naturally, a quiet transformation begins within the heart. Without forcing any decision, a person slowly starts feeling less attached to many things that once seemed extremely important. The ambitions, competitions, and constant concerns that once occupied the mind begin to lose their intensity. This change does not happen through rejection or frustration. Instead, it appears gently, as if the soul is naturally moving toward a different understanding of what truly matters. This detachment often begins with a subtle shift in awareness. A person may notice that the excitement surrounding certain achievements no longer feels as powerful as it once did. Recognition, praise, or status may still have value, but they no longer define the sense of purpose within the heart. Something deeper begins to take their place. This experience can feel unusual. The world often encourages strong attachment to success, possessions, and constant activity. When the heart begins loosening its grip on these things, the mind may question whether something important is being lost. Yet what is actually happening is not loss, but transformation. Detachment in this sense does not mean abandoning responsibilities or withdrawing from life. A person continues working, interacting, and participating in daily responsibilities. However, the emotional weight connected to these activities begins to change. The heart becomes less controlled by outcomes and more focused on sincerity and balance. Through this change, a person may start realizing how temporary many worldly concerns truly are. Situations that once caused intense worry may begin to feel less overwhelming. The soul begins recognizing that many things people chase endlessly are only temporary experiences that come and go. This awareness gradually brings a sense of calm. Instead of feeling pressured by every opportunity or competition, the heart becomes more selective about where it places its attention. Energy begins flowing toward what feels meaningful rather than what simply attracts attention. Another effect of this natural detachment is emotional stability. When attachment decreases, reactions become calmer. Praise does not inflate the ego as easily, and criticism does not disturb the heart as deeply. A person becomes more balanced because their sense of value is no longer tied completely to external circumstances. Detachment also creates space for reflection. When the mind is not constantly chasing outcomes, the soul has more room to consider the deeper direction of life. A person begins thinking more about purpose, sincerity, and spiritual growth rather than only about temporary achievements. The heart begins appreciating simplicity. Moments of peace, honesty, and quiet reflection become more meaningful than constant excitement. The soul discovers that fulfillment does not always come from gaining more, but sometimes from needing less. This transformation also allows compassion to grow. When a person becomes less consumed by personal ambition, they often become more attentive to the needs and struggles of others. The heart becomes softer and more understanding. Detachment begins to feel like freedom. A person realizes that life can be lived with dedication and responsibility without being controlled by every success or failure. And within this quiet freedom, the the soul discovers that letting go of excess attachment can bring a deeper and more lasting peace. 6. When the search for meaning becomes stronger, a quiet transformation begins inside the heart. Questions start appearing that were not always present before. A person may begin wondering about the deeper purpose behind everyday experiences. Routine activities continue as usual, yet the soul begins asking whether life is meant to be only about work, achievements, and temporary goals. These questions do not come from dissatisfaction alone. They often arise from a growing awareness that life carries a deeper meaning waiting to be understood. As this awareness grows, the heart begins searching for answers beyond ordinary explanations. Conversations that focus only on daily concerns may feel incomplete. The mind begins exploring ideas about purpose, faith, and the nature of existence. A person may find themselves reflecting more often about what truly gives life value. This search for meaning can appear during quiet moments when the mind becomes still. Reflection replaces constant distraction, allowing deeper thoughts to surface. The heart becomes curious about the direction of life, rather than simply moving through its routines without questioning their significance. Many people begin to notice that achievements alone do not fully satisfy this inner longing. Success, recognition, and comfort may still bring moments of happiness, yet they rarely answer the deeper questions forming within the soul. The heart starts sensing that fulfillment must come from something more lasting. During this period, a person may feel drawn toward learning and reflection. Books, spiritual teachings, and thoughtful conversations begin carrying greater importance. The soul becomes eager to understand the wisdom that has guided seekers throughout history. This search also encourages honesty with oneself. A person begins examining their actions, motivations, and priorities more carefully. The heart asks whether its daily choices align with the values it wishes to live by. This self-examination can lead to meaningful personal growth. Another change that often appears is the desire for sincerity. Instead of following expectations blindly, the soul begins seeking authenticity. A person may start questioning habits that once felt normal and replacing them with choices that feel more aligned with inner truth. As this search continues, patience becomes an important companion. Meaning rarely appears all at once. Understanding grows gradually through reflection, experience, and learning. The heart begins accepting that the journey toward deeper awareness takes time. This process can also create a sense of humility. The more a person searches for meaning, the more they realize how much there is to understand. Rather than feeling certain about everything, the soul becomes open to learning from different experiences and perspectives. The search for meaning often leads the heart closer to faith. Questions about existence naturally guide the mind toward recognizing the wisdom behind creation. Reflection on life's complexity can awaken gratitude and a deeper connection with the Creator. The search itself becomes a source of peace. Instead of feeling lost, the heart feels engaged in a meaningful journey. Every lesson learned, every reflection, and every sincere effort becomes part of the soul's growth. And sometimes within that search, the heart quietly realizes that meaning was always guiding its journey forward. 7. When the soul accepts its different path. The heart begins to understand that its journey may not look the same as the journeys of others. The direction chosen by the soul may appear unusual compared to the expectations of the crowd. While many people move toward familiar goals and shared ambitions, some individuals feel guided toward a quieter and more reflective path. Accepting this difference can take time, but it often becomes an important step in understanding one's true purpose. Walking a different path can feel uncertain. The mind may wonder whether it would be easier to simply follow the direction that most people around you are taking. There can be a natural desire to blend in and avoid standing apart. Yet the heart gradually recognizes that forcing itself to follow a path that does not feel sincere only creates inner discomfort. As awareness grows, the soul begins to understand that every life carries its own design. Not all journeys unfold in the same way. Some people are drawn toward outward achievements, while others feel guided toward reflection, faith, and deeper understanding. Neither direction is necessarily superior, but each soul must walk the road that aligns with its own calling. Accepting a different path also requires courage. The choices a person makes may not always be understood by others. Friends, family, or society may question decisions that move away from familiar expectations. These reactions can create moments of doubt, yet the heart slowly learns that sincerity matters more than approval. Comparison begins to fade. Instead of measuring life against the achievements or opinions of others, the soul focuses on living with honesty and purpose. The heart begins appreciating the uniqueness of its journey rather than wishing it looked like someone else's. This acceptance brings a quiet sense of freedom. When a person stops trying to imitate the direction of the crowd, they gain the ability to move according to their own understanding. Life becomes less about meeting expectations and more about remaining true to inner values. Another change that appears is patience. The soul recognizes that its path may unfold slowly and quietly. Progress may not always be visible to others, yet the heart learns that growth often happens in ways that cannot be measured externally. Trust also becomes an important companion along this path. A person may not see the full destination ahead, but they begin believing that each step carries meaning. This trust allows the heart to move forward without constant fear of making the wrong decision. As acceptance deepens, peace begins to replace uncertainty. The soul no longer struggles against its natural direction. Instead, it moves calmly with the understanding that its journey has purpose, even when the path looks different from others. This mindset also encourages humility. A person understands that every individual is traveling through life according to their own experiences and lessons. Instead of judging other paths, the heart learns to respect the diversity of human journeys. With time, the feeling of being different transforms into clarity. The soul recognizes that its path was never meant to mirror the crowd. It was meant to guide the heart toward understanding, sincerity, and faith. And within that acceptance, the soul discovers peace in walking the path that was always meant for it. Sometimes the feeling of being a stranger in the world is not a sign of separation, but a quiet reminder of the soul's deeper journey. Life may place you among crowds, routines, and expectations, yet your heart continues searching for something beyond all of it. The wisdom often associated with the Sufi master Ibn Arabi reminds us that the soul did not begin its story in this world alone. Because of this, some hearts naturally feel that they are only passing through, learning, growing, and slowly returning to the one who created them. So if you have ever felt different, distant, or quietly disconnected from what everyone else seems to chase, do not rush to see it as a weakness. Sometimes that feeling is simply the soul remembering that its true home was never meant to be here forever.